Hello everybody and welcome to another watercolor tutorial. We are going to be painting this really neat floral flamingo. So the first thing that you want to do is sketch out your flamingo. The best thing or the best advice that I have is just to look up a silhouette of a flamingo on the internet and just trace the silhouette. And that will make the whole process a whole lot easier, but you're also welcome to freehand the flamingo. Once you have it down, just make sure you erase the pencil lines so they're just light enough for you to see, because if they're darker, they'll show through the watercolor and it won't look as nice. So we are going to start off with the body of the flamingo here, and I am going to be filling the body of the flamingo with flowers. So this is a very easy floral technique. Essentially what you're doing is grabbing quite a bit of I'm using pink, and it's going to be quite pigmented, so not very watered down. And we're going to paint or drop 3 or 4 dots that are really close to one another. And then you're going to take a larger brush and just pull those out and let the water that's on the brush, because you're only going to have water on your brush, let that sort of spread outwards and create this beautiful, gentle effect. And I'm just going to go a little bit closer here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just rinsing my brush after every single petal, just so that I only have water on my paintbrush. Now I'm going to also paint my flamingo using a nice red. And you're welcome to change up your colors as well. Like, you don't have to have just pink or whatever color you've chosen. And you want to just keep doing this effect until you've covered the entire body of your flamingo, trying to stay within the line. So here I'm just trying to make sure that my petals don't cross the body of my flamingo, because I do want it to look like a flamingo and not a blob. Now, if you're finding that you have, these random white gaps that aren't big enough to paint a full flower, what you can do to fill those gaps is to use the same technique, but using only 1 dot. So you just dot that pigmented dot right on the edge, if that's where your gap is, and then just paint out 1 leaf or 1 petal. And then it kind of really nicely borders creates a border around the body of your flamingo, but you can see that I've also done the same, like for example here, here in random parts where there's a larger white space that I just want to fill in. Now I'm quite happy with the body of my flamingo, so the last thing I'm going to do before we move on past the floral stage is I'm just going to paint the head of my flamingo in the same or using the same technique that we used for the body. So again, I'm just picking up my pigment And as I said before, just try to be mindful and stay within the borders of the flamingo head. Okay, so now we can move on to the next step, and we're going to be filling in all of the rest of the parts of the flamingo just with a solid color or using the same colors that we used for the flowers. So we're just lining, here it's really just painting, but I want to create, I wouldn't necessarily call it a gradient, but I don't want it just to be like that solid color. I do want there to be a little bit, I guess I will call it a gradient between the very edge and kind of the middle portion of each body part of the flamingo. So you can see how dark I paint on my color, but then I gradient it out with a smaller brush. And I'm trying to be mindful of not painting on top of the flowers that we painted earlier. So I want to fade my gradient out enough that there isn't really a very visible transition between the flowers and the body of the flamingo, or the flowers and the rest of the body parts that we're painting. Now the beak of our flamingo is it's going to be partly black, so don't fill in the entire thing with a pink color. Kind of just want to focus on the top portion of it. And of course we're fading it out. Feel free to dip your brush into your water as frequently as you want, just to rinse off that extra pigment to try and create a really, really nice gradient. Now I'm going to quickly, before that layer dries, I'm going to try to create or extend that gradient into the black. So the tip of my flamingo beak is black. I'm rinsing my brush and I'm trying to join those two together. And it's not going to look great from the first go, so just, you know, keep dipping your brush into water to take off that extra pigment and then blending the two together. Ideally, you kind of want like almost a neutral part in the middle where the pink meets the black. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the little tail portion, or where the feathers of the wings stick out a little bit. So I'm just switching my paintbrush to one that's a little bit thinner so I can get those really fine pointed details there. All the supplies that I use are listed in the description, so if you're interested in ordering some, you're welcome to use my links. It's no extra cost to you, but it does help me because I get some commission from the purchases that you make using my links. So I'm just outlining the 3 feathers that I had penciled in earlier. And I'm just using a pink color. I might add some orange to that actually. Yeah, I will. So I'm gonna fade into an orange, or not fade, but make a gradient into an orange. Mind you, this is way too pigmented. Like, it should be a lot more faded than I have it here. So I'm going to try and pick some of that up. I'm picking it up, I'm rinsing my brush, dabbing it on a paper towel, and then repeating the process over and over and over again until this is not as harsh of a gradient. That's a little bit better. Now we're going to move on to our legs. So we're going to be doing something very, very similar as we did to the neck, head, and the little tail feathers. It's just a lot of rinsing your brush to create the intensity that you're looking for, or the gradient that you're looking for. But the key thing is that everywhere where the body part that you're painting meets the body portion, or the portion that has, you know, all these flowers, you want it to be much, much lighter than the rest of the body part, so that it really naturally transitions into the flowers, which are a lot lighter than everything else. And I just like to kind of alter my colors, or transition between orange and pink. Not that a flamingo is orange, but I think those two colors complement each other very well. So that's why I keep doing that. You don't have to. If you don't have orange watercolor, or you just prefer to stick to the pink, that's completely fine. Okay, and once you've completed all of your body parts that weren't already filled with flowers, you can erase those extra pencil marks that you have on the side, and we're all finished. I hope you guys enjoyed this flamingo tutorial. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit like on this video, and I'll see you in the next one.